For many years, the United States dollar has held a dominant position in global commerce, serving as the primary reserve currency worldwide. This dominance has provided the U.S. with significant economic advantages, such as the ability to borrow at lower costs and effectively enforce financial sanctions. However, in recent years, there has been an increasing push by countries, particularly those within the BRICS group, to establish alternative payment systems and reduce their reliance on the dollar. Russia, for example, has been a strong advocate for a BRICS payment system aimed at enabling trade using local currencies and bypassing the dollar-based financial framework. Former President Trump's warning highlights the U.S. government's recognition of the growing momentum behind efforts to move away from the dollar. His concerns suggest that a major shift away from the dollar could undermine the U.S.'s global standing and destabilize its economy. If key economies were to successfully adopt other currencies or create a credible alternative to the dollar, the U.S. could face challenges such as reduced demand for Treasury securities, higher borrowing costs, and diminished geopolitical influence. If this trend accelerates, it could signal a profound transformation in the global financial landscape, diminishing the U.S.'s ability to exert economic influence. This shift would have significant implications for global trade, finance, and international relations, making it an important issue for policymakers and economists to monitor. In this video, we will explore the latest developments, focusing on Trump's warning to the BRICS nations. We will also investigate the extent of the BRICS countries' efforts to reduce their dependence on the US dollar. Let's begin by assessing the current state of dollarization. The BRICS nations have increasingly moved towards conducting trade in their own currencies in an effort to decrease reliance on the US dollar. This strategy, aimed at boosting financial independence, is driven by both economic and geopolitical factors. A key milestone came in early 2023 when China and Brazil, two of the largest BRICS economies, signed an agreement to conduct trade using their local currencies, the Chinese yuan and Brazilian real. This deal eliminates the need for the US dollar as an intermediary, streamlining trade and reducing exchange rate risks for businesses in both nations. Bilateral trade between China and Brazil reached approximately $150 billion in 2022, with China being Brazil's top trading partner. The move to local currencies is expected to lower transaction costs and promote financial self-sufficiency. Iran and Russia have made substantial progress in integrating their banking systems to facilitate trade and financial transactions while avoiding Western sanctions. This partnership includes connecting their national payment networks and accepting each other's bank cards. In early 2023, Iran and Russia linked their banking infrastructures, allowing Iranian financial institutions to interact with Russian banks and over 100 banks from 13 other countries through Russia's financial messaging system, an alternative to the SWIFT network. This integration enables the issuance of letters of credit, transfers, and guarantees without relying on SWIFT, thus minimizing the impact of Western sanctions. On July 6, 2024, the Central Bank of Iran announced the integration of Iran's Shatab interbank network with Russia's Mir payment system. This development allows Russian Mir cards to be used within Iran, facilitating transactions for Russian tourists and businesses. By November 2024, Iran and Russia further advanced their financial integration, allowing Iranian bank cards to be used in Russia. This innovation enhances financial access for Iranians abroad and strengthens economic ties between the two nations. India and Russia have also adopted local currency trade, particularly in the energy sector, following Western sanctions on Russia in 2022. The two countries increased the use of the Indian rupee and the Russian ruble for transactions. Russia became India's largest supplier of crude oil in 2023, with a significant portion of these transactions conducted in Indian rupees. This shift allowed both countries to bypass dollar-based payment systems, helping shield them from external economic pressures. South Africa, the smallest economy within BRICS, has also shown interest in increasing trade settlements in yuan. China is South Africa's largest trading partner, with bilateral trade surpassing $50 billion annually in 2023. South Africa has entered into agreements to use the yuan for various imports, particularly machinery and electronics, reducing its dependence on the US dollar and improving yuan liquidity in African markets. As the BRICS nations continue to reduce their reliance on the US dollar, the global financial landscape is undergoing a significant shift, with potentially far-reaching consequences for international trade, finance, and geopolitics. BRICS Pay is a decentralized payment system designed to facilitate seamless financial transactions between member countries using their local currencies. This initiative aims to reduce dependence on Western financial networks, like the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, SWIFT, and promote financial sovereignty within the BRICS bloc. Introduced in 2018 by the BRICS Business Council, BRICS Pay integrates existing national payment infrastructures, including Russia's Mir network and India's Unified Payments Interface, UPI. This integration enables users to conduct cross-border transactions in their native currencies, including the Russian ruble, Chinese yuan, Indian rupee, Brazilian real, and South African rand, simplifying payments and reducing transaction costs. The system uses a decentralized star topology architecture, establishing distributed networks for transmitting payment information and liquidity. This design ensures rapid deployment, scalability, and resilience against unilateral restrictive measures, enhancing efficiency and security. By offering an alternative to SWIFT, BRICS Pay aims to reduce the impact of potential sanctions and exposure to currency fluctuations. The platform's inclusivity and transparency encourage greater economic cooperation among BRICS nations and with their global partners. Before we continue, if you're enjoying the video so far, we'd appreciate it if you could hit the like button. It helps us reach a wider audience, and sharing your thoughts or feedback in the comments would make an even greater impact. Thank you for watching. Now let's continue. In a unified effort to strengthen financial stability and protect against currency volatility and geopolitical risks, BRICS nations have been significantly increasing their gold reserves. As of the second quarter of 2024, the BRICS countries collectively hold approximately 6,200 tons of gold, representing 21.4% of the world's total gold reserves. Russia leads the bloc with 2,340 tons, about 8.1% of global reserves, followed by China with 2,260 tons, or 7.8%. Between 2018 and 2024, Brazil's gold reserves nearly tripled, reflecting a strong strategy to bolster financial defenses. This trend highlights a broader move among BRICS countries to diversify their reserves away from the US dollar. Accumulating gold serves as protection against economic sanctions and enhances monetary policy autonomy. By maintaining substantial gold reserves, BRICS nations aim to reduce vulnerability to external financial pressures and promote a more multipolar global financial system. The creation of BRICS Pay and the strategic buildup of gold reserves underscore the BRICS countries' commitment to developing a more resilient and independent financial framework capable of withstanding global economic uncertainties and reducing reliance on traditional Western financial systems. One significant aspect of this effort is the ongoing reduction in dollarization, as countries strive to reduce their dependence on the US dollar in international trade and finance. Dollarization refers to the global reliance on the US dollar for trade and reserves, which grants the United States considerable influence over the global economy. Nations moving away from the dollar aim to regain control over their economic policies and reduce exposure to external shocks. The growing move away from the dollar is driven by several motivations. Economic sovereignty and stability are key factors. As countries move away from the dollar, they aim to diminish their vulnerability to US economic sanctions and gain more control over their financial systems. Furthermore, many countries are diversifying their foreign exchange reserves, shifting away from holding a large portion in US dollars, and instead investing in other currencies and assets, such as gold. This diversification spreads risk and reduces dependence on the dollar. Geopolitical factors are also at play. Nations like China and Russia seek alternatives to the US dollar to maintain economic autonomy and counteract US economic dominance. They are promoting the use of their own currencies in international trade, which aligns with their broader goal of fostering a multipolar global financial system. Additionally, regional trade agreements are increasingly being used to facilitate transactions in local currencies, bypassing the dollar. For example, China and Brazil have agreed to conduct trade using their respective currencies, simplifying transactions and reducing conversion costs. Finally, the global shift away from the dollar reflects broader economic changes. As emerging economies gain influence in international trade, they are increasingly using their own currencies to reflect their growing economic power and strengthen their financial markets. Together, these factors illustrate the strategic motivations driving the global trend of dollarization. Now let's discuss Trump's warning to the BRICS nations. Trump is urging the BRICS countries to preserve the dominance of the US dollar, threatening severe tariffs if they attempt to undermine it. Any action by these nations to weaken the dollar is unacceptable and must stop now, Trump declared on his Truth Social platform Saturday. He further demanded a firm commitment from these nations not to develop or support alternative currencies that could challenge the US dollar. Failure to comply will result in 100% tariffs and a total loss of access to the vast US market, he warned. Throughout his campaign, Trump has promised to make it economically unfeasible for any nation to abandon the US dollar. His recent remarks have heightened tensions as he prepares to take office in January. These threats align with his broader strategy of using tariffs as a tool to enforce economic compliance. Trump's advisors have reportedly been exploring ways to penalize nations engaged in bilateral trade using non-dollar currencies. Proposed measures include imposing export restrictions, labeling countries as currency manipulators, and introducing additional trade levies. These strategies are a clear reflection of Trump's ongoing commitment to protecting the dollar's central role in global trade. In a March interview, Trump emphasized that allowing nations to move away from the dollar would be a major setback for the U.S. The issue of dollarization gained prominence after BRICS nations discussed reducing reliance on the U.S. dollar at their 2023 summit. The push for alternative currencies gained momentum in 2022, particularly after U.S.-led sanctions against Russia heightened global frustration with dollar dominance. Trump's campaign has placed a strong focus on countering these efforts, signaling a firm stance against any economic bloc that threatens the dollar. Trump has already stirred global markets with his tariff proposals. He has previously announced plans to impose a 10% tariff on goods from China and a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada, unless those countries take stronger actions to combat drug trafficking and illegal immigration. Recently, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau met with Trump to discuss trade and border issues in an effort to ease tensions. Nevertheless, Trump's approach underscores his readiness to use economic tools to achieve broader policy goals, both domestically and internationally. Trump firmly asserted, "There is no scenario where the BRICS nations can replace the US dollar in global trade." He warned that any country attempting to do so risks losing access to the US economy entirely. As Trump prepares to take office, his administration's stringent economic policies are expected to play a major role in his second term, with far-reaching effects on international trade and diplomacy. That's all for this video. Thank you for joining us today. If you found our content insightful or inspiring, please consider supporting us by liking and subscribing to stay connected with our community. Your support means a lot to us. Feel free to watch another video on our channel, which is now displayed on the screen.